Hanging in there.
Good.
Good.
Hey, Andy.
Hi. How you feeling, Mickey?
I'm,
You okay?
I'm okay.
Great.
I've been sleeping a lot. I've just been really achy, headache.
Sorry to hear that. Prayers, honey. Okay. Denise, are we ready? Okay, go. The time is 7:00 p.m. on January 13th, 2022, and this meeting is now called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Junior, I'd ask that you would lead us.
Ready? Again.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Junior. Welcome, everybody. Your roll call, please. Mayor Gillen, present. Councilor Foreman,
Present.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Here.
Council President Wagner,
Present.
Councilor Barge,
Present.
Councilor Harvey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise. So tonight, on the first agenda item was to swear in an officer that we just hired, and due to the COVID scares that we're having, we're going to go ahead and postpone that till February. So I also have some announcements on additions and deletions and changing. I'm going to go ahead and change our presenters to right after public comment. Instead of 8, they will now be 6. Chief Budge will be presenter A, and school board will be presenter B. That way they are free to leave, so they don't have to stay if they don't want to in this kind of scare. So with that, I'll start public comment. It's limited to 3 minutes per person with an additional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address council, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself for the record. You need to state your name and your address. And I am really a stickler on the 3-minute rule, so I don't mean to be rude. You are being heard, but we do have a timetable. So is there anybody that would like to come up for comment? Go ahead, Rocky. And we have Rocky Sherwood.
Hello, first of all, my name is Rocky Sherwood. I live over in Hubbard, and thank you for having me tonight. I just wanted to,
Rocky, can you state your actual address?
Oh, yeah,
for Denise?
sorry. 2622 Nina Place, Hubbard, Oregon.
Welcome, Rocky.
And I'm the president CEO of the Hubbard Community Events Team. And I just want to say to the council, thank you so much for allowing my team to come in and bring you the first annual holiday parade. I had the privilege to have Mayor Gillard ride along with me, and we definitely seen a lot of positivity, and it gave us a few ideas that we can hopefully join forces in the future. So
Rocky, on behalf of myself and Jervis residents, thank you. It wasn't letting you, we invite you, and I'm really excited that you included us and look forward to working with you in the future. I wish everybody had a heart like yours. Thank you, Rocky.
I wish everybody had a mayor like yourself and Charles Russell, because with people like you guys, it really makes communities, you impact us and you give us the opportunity and the drive to do so, because we have great leaders like yourselves and great police force. So
Rocky, that's so helpful. Thank you. Council, did you have any comments for Rocky?
I do. I just want to say it's Councilor Wagner. I just wanted to say to Rocky and also to the mayor and everybody that participated, it was so awesome. It was almost like having our 4th of July parade. There were that many people out. It was, I definitely personally didn't expect to see that many people. So people are already asking if we're going to do it next year, Rocky.
we're going.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you for all
Councilman.
your hard work.
Okay, anybody else have comment? Okay, I'll move on. Is there any other, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Barch? Did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, please, Ms. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Christopher Barch, 929 Mayhem Loop, Jervis. So I wanted to bring up the topic of fireworks again. This is a subject that I brought up in a public comment about maybe 5-6 months ago at a meeting. And also Brian Wagner, another citizen, also brought up the point as well. And it's kind of started rearing its ugly head again. And so I just wanted to bring it up again that I'd really like to see the council take on the task of looking at our ordinances in relation to fireworks and seeing if it's something that maybe we can really beef up. As I stated in the last public comment, a few months ago, that I really think that personally, I would like to see us try to even go as extreme as banning fireworks within city limits at all times other than 4th of July. But even if the council doesn't want to go quite that far, I'd really love to see some stronger ordinances to maybe help give our police department a little bit more ammunition in their belt to be able to address firework usages in random times of the year. Where it came up again was right before New Year's. There was about a week or two before New Year's, just some random fireworks in the middle of the night, spread spaced out half hour, 45 minutes apart. A lot of us have to work early mornings. A lot of us have animals who get really freaked out. I know there's a number of vets and other people who suffer from complications with the fireworks. So I just wanted to bring it to the council's attention again that I as a citizen would really like to see us try to take our fireworks ordinances up a couple levels.
Okay,
So thank you.
Chris,
That's all I have.
But I will just briefly say, I'll point you to our police chief, would be the right person to speak to on that. As far as ordinances, I admit I do not know what we have on the books. So I'm wondering, are they strong enough? And maybe it's just a matter of enforcement on times that we know are going to be celebratory. If people might be shooting up. It's so random that I have a puppy. Believe me, I hate it too. So I'm not sure what they can do about it or what our ordinances even read. So yeah, I'll have a look.
Yeah, and I've actually talked to the chief and I've looked into our ordinances on it. So yeah, I just think it's something that the council, I'd really like to see the council take it on their shoulders to look at addressing maybe. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, Christopher. Would anybody else like to comment? Chief, would you have anything to say on this?
I just passed out some information so you have what is illegal, what is legal, and then the Oregon revised statutes regarding what's currently on the Oregon laws for the enforcement, so you can review and make any recommendations to us that you need.
Well, we're working on ordinances now in the background too, so maybe this is something we could incorporate. I'm not promising that, but it is something. Diana, not that that's your husband to disclose, but maybe this is something you might want to spearhead. I myself am really good.
Yeah, I know that we have looked into it, and I believe that as a city, we don't have anything other than what the state says are the rules. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes.
So we don't have anything additional. So I guess it would be a matter of looking at what the rules are and seeing if there's anything that we want to add into it.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Nikki, you have something?
Yeah, I know. I mean, over the past 10 years that I've been on council, this has always been an issue. And I know Chief and the team are working on it. It's been something that's ongoing. But part of the issue that people need to realize is that this city is very small. Everybody knows everybody. And if there's a family doing fireworks, they have people that are watching. So as soon as they see a PD car come, boy, they scatter like fleas. So it's one of the things too that they can't do anything if they don't see it. And a lot of times when you roll up on something, like I said, they're gone. So maybe it comes down to having the neighborhood watch type thing again, where, you know, we can have some citizens that can go out and drive the perimeters. I mean, it sounds harsh.
We'll go ahead and move on from here if there's no other comment. Is there anybody else for public comment tonight? Okay, not hearing any. I am going to, like I said, I'm moving presentations up. That way people are free to leave. And I'll start with Chief Budge of the Fire Department. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mayor Gilland, and thank you, councilors, for having me here tonight. I'm here to talk about grant opportunities that opened up with Marion County. So this is a grant request for the ARPA funds that have been allocated to Marion County. Marion County has a pot of $67 million that they'll be allocating to this grant process. When ARPA funds were allocated by Congress, they went to the states, the counties, and the local jurisdictions. There wasn't any ARPA funds that were allocated to the fire districts. So we're applying to the county for a request, and the request we'll be bringing them is that joint construction project that we talked about during our bond project. Denise, could you bring up that cover page? No, no problem.
We have it.
You don't have what I'm trying to bring up here. So we got some site pictures. So this is a site on Douglas Avenue. It is near the water treatment facility. That is the site where we talked previously about siting our joint use building. And if you recall our previous discussion, it was to be used by the public works and the fire and a fire station. So I think it'd be helpful at this time to kind of take a review of our document, just quickly of our previous agreement that we had. Now, within keeping in mind that situations have changed dramatically as far as the building that we are proposing and the costs of the construction. So I think I'll start by Susie, if you just want to kind of hit the highlights of that, and I'll answer any questions that the council has, and then we'll go into the requests we have for you tonight.
Okay, so, sure. So if you'll remember, when we were having these discussions before about the shared use building, the city council was supportive of it. And the agreement was for the city to have 25% of the construction costs up to $50,000. And the fire district would pay the remaining 75%. So the ask tonight is still the same, still 25. Well, he'll talk more about the costs, but he'll be asking for $50,000 for the city to spend $50,000 of the ARPA funds that we were allotted, which is in line with the original agreement that we first talked about for this project.
Funds we already have on hand, correct?
Yeah, they would be the ARPA funds.
Okay, so Susie, that covers our original 25% ask. We're not gonna be asked on the road, but that covers that 25. The increased cost, I understand that.
Yeah,
But I just want to be real clear that that is the 25% right there. So paying a fee instead of labor.
yeah. Initially, we agreed up to $50,000, but as he said, the situation has changed dramatically, which he'll go into. But for the purposes of applying for this grant, the ask would be $50,000 from the city.
Okay, is it necessary for you to have that money to apply for the grant?
No, we're just asking that there be a commitment for that when we make the grant request. So when there is a worksheet that we have to identify the project budget, and we'll show other funds. We'll show whatever this, if this council decides to put some of that over money, we'll show that. We'll show money that we're bringing from the bond that was approved by fire district voters, and we'll show what is needed from the grant.
So how much do we have in this?
Total ARPA funds, we're supposed to get 562,000 and we've received a little over 300,000. We get it in two, what they call tranches, and we've already, in halves, basically. So we've already received our first half, and the next half is supposed to be coming, I think, summertime, because the first one came in August, and they're 12 months apart. So
So is that, the rest of that money, is it allotted for anything at all?
we haven't talked about projects. We have until the end of 2024 to obligate the money. But as Chief and I talked, I think we want to keep that freed up because we're pretty much built out on our urban growth boundary. So I think we could potentially be looking at growth. And I think it would be good to save that money for infrastructure projects to expand on that.
That takes us back to the state park thing.
Can I ask that you guys speak into your mics a little bit more? I can't hear John, anything John's saying.
Yes, please.
Maybe that's it. Okay, so we were talking about the, I won't go down this very long, but we were talking about the skate park and some of that money going to that. So that's already allotted.
No, not yet. We don't have that obligated yet.
And
I mean, we talked about it, but
I
it's,
know, I thought we decided we were going to go ahead.
I don't know.
Well,
We're
maybe
kinda
that's
getting
something we
off
need to
topic.
talk about tonight. We can add that in.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Denise, could you put the next slide? Okay, so on, actually go to the, sorry, leave it right there. So that's a picture of Sam Brown House, as you know. I know this, it was the previous council, the previous mayor, it was important for her that site may be preserved for the Sam Brown House. Through this process that the fire district has engaged an architect, and we've also engaged with the city planner to look at that site and make sure that the building we're proposing will allow room for the Sam Brown House also, if the city chooses to do that. So that's why that we brought that picture in. Can you go to the next one? So that is the site we'll be looking at. We did engage the city planner and an architect to look at where the boundary lines are, required setbacks, the zoning, everything will work. We believe everything will work with some adjustments to the existing property lines to site the building and site the Sam Brown House in that location if you choose to do so. So where we're at right now, we've looked at a number of different designs for this building. Since we last talked, we've made a larger footprint because as we had more discussion in the fire district about how we'll use that building, what kind of apparatus we'll like to have there. The building expanded larger than our original plan. We also added living quarters in there for our student firefighters, as we discussed. So when we first had this plan, when we first talked about it for the bond, it was a smaller project. The costs have grown substantially. But what I would like to say is what the ask here for city council is it be that $50,000 that we originally talked about when we put together this joint proposal. So the maximum at that time was going to be $50,000. And I'd like to just make that the request here tonight. When we put this, one of the reasons for engaging the architect to make sure it's fit the site plan, we have to develop enough of a plan to do really good cost estimates. So we engaged a general contractor, Emery Construction, took the plans the architect developed and developed the cost estimates. Those cost estimates came in at $2.6 million. So
You just looked at Emmerich, you didn't get three or?
Well, we won't do that until we actually go to bill.
But they don't do that.
So the cost estimate is just there to put together that request to the county. And then when we actually get it, then you go through that multiple bid process. Now, when they put that in, there's a couple things that they want to remind us. Construction costs have gone up 70% in the last year for steel. There's a lot of extra built in for that site, different options that might cost more money. For example, that alley on the left side of the site may need to be paved. We may need to add more parking structure than or parking spaces than we thought. In order to, there's some things that can be done to bring that cost down substantially. What they've done in this process, yes? Oh, I thought there was a question. What they've done in this process, the cost estimator has taken what he considers a worst case scenario. So that when we actually go to build, it'll likely come in less. And we experienced this when we had construction work and remodel done at the main station. We had the cost estimate and then the actual build was substantially less. So what they want to avoid doing is something that happened down at the Salem, City of Salem police station, where the request was made for money. They didn't, and they ran out before they finished and they had to go back and ask for more. So the request to Marion County will be for that, for the total cost of that cost estimate. The request to this board or this council will be the $50,000 we talked about when we built our original estimate.
Okay, so that being said, you also said that the cost increase will be responsible for 25%, is that correct? Right?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to hold that because this is I would like to just make it a $50,000 maximum for this application. So when we go to Marion County, we'll say the city of Jervis is willing to contribute $50,000.
And I understand that you're asked for tonight, but I'm talking about long-term, we need to be projecting and looking at plans for how we are going to pay for it as a city. Our cost could be another 25% of this 70% increase you're talking about.
No, I don't.
Fees.
No, if the request to Marion County will be for the entire project, the $2.6 million. And from that, we'll take off the $50,000 that the city of Jervis will provide. And whatever my board will agree to provide for this project from the fire bond money. So that would be in the neighborhood of $250,000 or so.
So
likely.
we Jervis will just pay 50,000, is that what you're saying?
For this application,
With this application, but I'm talking about projection, I just am trying to get a full big picture.
Mayor, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
And if this bond or this application is not granted, if we don't get the grant, we're gonna have to come back and talk again. But I'll tell you, I know that the expectation for this council and this group is that we wouldn't go over $50,000. And I would like to honor that. So I'm not gonna say we had an agreement last year and you were gonna escalate the cost. I don't. We're in a totally different circumstance. We've got a different structure. We've got a different climate, building cost climate. Many factors have changed. So with what we had was an agreement that said we're going to work together.
sure.
And I would like to, honor that for this application. I'm saying I'm not asking for more than 50, and that would be the max.
So if you do get the grant, then our 50 is paid, but if you don't get the grant, what happens to the 50? You just keep it towards the building or?
Well, you still have it. So
So
what-
it's just an honorary commitment of locking in with you to do this. That's
You're-
what I want.
What you're locking in tonight is for the application we're making to Marion County. That's it. That's the only obligation you're making tonight.
John, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. It states right here that the city will agree to split any costs that are more than $200,000. 75-25, like we're doing right now. On this
Yeah.
first 25 or 200,000, excuse me. So that means that we're going to be, we're gonna be, 25% of, you take that first 200,000 off, we're gonna take 25% of possibly $2,400,000.
No, but I'm telling you, I'm not, this was a different agreement for a different building at a different time. So I'm saying that the agreement, what I'm asking you to agree to tonight is no more than $50,000
Total.
total.
From here on out.
For, now, John, listen, it's for this application. When we go back and just say, we don't get this bond, if we don't get this grant, we're gonna be back here and be talking and negotiating about another plan that you will all have free decision to say yes or no to.
And Susie, this is for you. We had talked about this phase 2 of ARPA. Is there any reason, I think I've asked and you were gonna check into it, is there any reason our city can't apply as well so we can have contingency money in case that we need to come up with more? You know, not just set this aside, but say he doesn't get his grant, but if we got one and it did cost the city more, that would be money that we would have on board to help us pay our part. Because the fire department, I think this is wonderful. People really do need and want this here. So I'm looking down the road though, I gotta think how am I protecting Jervis is interested in this, and to have money, can we look at possibly getting some of that ARPA phase 2 for the city?
We could make application in round 2 to help with this, if that's what the council would like to do.
I think it wise to have money in the backup, and if not, we could use it for another project perhaps, maybe the Sam Brown house, this extra parking something, I don't know.
Mayor Gillen, something to consider on that is that it's all gonna come out the same pot anyway. So if they decide to fund this project, it doesn't really matter whether it comes to this Jervis and then back to the project. It could just come directly to the project.
I know, but aren't there several grants available, or is it just one?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
There's
I'm
just
sorry.
one in this
I was
process.
under the impression there was more than one.
No, Mayor Gillen, there are other grants, and if this one doesn't work, we'll be working on another one. The other big one that's out there is a USDA grant for specifically designed for rural communities. That's worth up to $500,000.
All right, some grants usually come in several allotments, that's what I was thinking. Okay. Wasn't trying to cut into your.
No.
John, go ahead.
Okay, I can tell you right up front. I can hear what you're saying. But what I'm not hearing you say, I'm gonna wanna see that in writing. I want to see that in writing.
And John,
You're just saying, okay, you're asking for $50,000 to be here from ARPA.
right.
No stipulations added to it whatsoever. And I might be okay with that. The way this is all written down here, I'm not for it at all, because this area is us open. I don't like it. It is open for a lot more money than what we talked about. I told you before, when you had that other bond levy, you remember that? I said, I'm gonna hold you to it, but we're not gonna be putting out more money, and you came back right away, we already changed the first one, we're gonna be paying more money on our taxes because of that bond levy, a little bit. But that's where I stand on this side. I'm not against this fire department thing, but I want this stuff in writing when I see it here before. I'm not. You come there and say whatever you want, and then later on say, well, okay, let's change it. I need some writing on that.
I understand what you're asking, and I'm proposing here that we have an agreement that we do not, the city of Jervis does not have more than $50,000 for this grant to Marion County.
So you can put that in language before we sign.
Why can't we put it in the minutes and then all agree to that?
Well, if it helps, the letter, it's dated January 28, 2020, it should be 21. This isn't a legally binding contract. This was just the general concept and, language that at the bottom of the first page, it says, once approvals and contingencies for the project are met and other options considered, the terms will be formalized into a legal contract. But what he's saying is, tonight, we're talking about the grant application, and he's asking for the city's commitment to the $50,000 that we first talked about, just for the purposes of the grant application.
To show where
Because
we're
if we can show, I mean, he'll show that, hey, City of Jervis is going to be kicking in $50,000 towards this application, it strengthens the application. Having the partnership does. But if the grant application is not successful, then we pretty much have to go back to the drawing board, because 25% of 2.6 million is 650,000 for us, and there's no way we can do that. So, like he said, we need to come back and, think about this again, because things have really changed since this was first.
And you know what, I guess then the other thing I'm understanding is that we've already okayed that. You guys
No, we
put it
didn't.
there. We talked about it before, we said we were all for it, putting for that, $50,000. We were good to go.
Well, what I'm asking you specifically is for the Marion County grant application, and I need your approval to put Jervis down for that.
Hey, I'm good with that, as long as there's no stipulations to saying that we got to come up with money later on.
This, like Susie said, this was not a legally binding agreement. We had an agreement that we were gonna work together for the joint construction and use of a building, and that's what we're working on right now.
So Susie, we're secured, that's all I need to do.
Yeah, and I put a sample, letter of support in the packet that I drafted up
Okay,
for the council to consider. The only thing I would change at the bottom of the letter is, I stated that the city council is committed to providing 25% funding for the project. I'm gonna specifically state 50,000.
So the language is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's other things that you need to understand. This, when we talked about the bond, we talked about having some money for this project and some money for the purchase of land for a future project. What is likely going to happen when I approach my board on how much they are willing to contribute to this, we will likely divert that money for that future land purchase to this project. So we'll be looking at spending what we had thought we were going to spend plus some of that land purchase money.
Your board.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So I meet with them next week and we'll be talking about,
Where's
That
that
as well.
at? Can we attend?
of course, yeah, we can.
If you could send me an invite, deity zone, or a lot
Uh,
of times I'm eating dinner while I'm zooming, but
Yeah,
I work a lot.
yep, we can certainly get you a remote access if you'd like.
I just like to sit in if that's all right.
Certainly.
If I,
Yeah.
unless we're on the midnight, I'm not sure what night was it.
It's a Wednesday night, next Wednesday night.
Not, but I'll try. if I
Yeah,
can.
so I just want this group to be aware that this application might divert some of that money that we planned on using for that future land purchase. Now, keeping in mind that we were looking out 25 years before we even did that. So in 25 years, we'll all be gone. Our bond will have expired. We'll have a new bond. We can talk about land, for a future station at that time.
Well, John, do you have any more questions?
Probably do,
So what I'm hearing is Susie said she'll change that to 50,000 on the paper. Is that,
50,000 max.
okay, so does that satisfy your, I want everybody to be happy about it. I know we're gonna vote, but I think it's important that we all are on board. So, Junior,
Excuse me. Wasn't this just a consensus that we gave?
we did, I thought it was locked in and I was new, so I'm not sure. I guess we did, because I thought we were locked into the 50,000.
No, and Mira, it's such a different building and a different, everything has changed. So I would not like to, it wouldn't be fair to obligate you or this council to that agreement that under the changing, the way this thing it's different.
Well, we're different times, aren't we?
Yeah.
I work for contractors, so I know steel buildings, if you want one, you need to order now. We're looking at September for the 4-wheel.
Well, it still was the low cost option. It's no longer there. So this building that was one of the reasons why it's way more expensive. It's a wood frame building because the steel is more expensive than wood frame now.
Okay, so I want to go to Councilman Foreman. Do you have anything?
All right, can't get myself off of mute. No, I don't have anything additional. I'd like to mull it over. Also, I will say that being on the audio end of this is it's much more challenging than being in the room. So I'm not 100% sure I heard everything. But
I can't hear you very well.
I don't hear you guys very well though, so that's
Oh, yeah.
for me. So, but otherwise, I think I'm good. So,
Okay, Councilman Bart. Oh, I'm sorry, Pam, were you done?
I just said thank you.
Oh, okay, Councilman Bart.
Yeah, I don't have any additional questions. I think that what Chief Budge is proposing sounds reasonable. You know, we're just putting that we're willing to put that 50,000 in if we can get the grant. And I think, you know, that sounds reasonable to me because we had already talked about doing that. And I think trying to get the grant is a great idea.
Thank you, Councilman Bart. Council President Mickey Wagner.
I'm going to just, mimic what Diana said and also Susie. Again, this is something that, you know, we've discussed, but this is more just for show that we are going to put it in, which does give us a stronger chance of getting the ARPA funds.
Thank you, Councilman Wagner.
Thank
So
you.
with that, I need a motion from someone.
I'll make a motion to, how do we want to state this, Susie?
The motion would be to support the application of Woodburn Fire District to the Marion County ARPA grant funding with a commitment from the city of $50,000
Maximum.
maximum.
And could you add to that the letter of support for the application?
And also approval of the letter, or submit the letter of support with the application.
Okay, with my headache, that's a lot to remember. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve, that we support Woodburn Fire District with this ARPA application. And the rest of it just left my mind. I'm sorry.
And approve submitting the letter of support
Thank you. And approve submitting a letter in support as well,
with a maximum commitment of $50,000.
with a maximum commitment of $50,000 from the city of Jervis.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a second from Councilman Furman. Is there any further discussion? Now, hearing any, I'm just going to call for an all in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll send you that link to that meeting.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And my board would love to hear the support that the council here provided from you. So that'd be great.
I'll try to prepare something.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, we have another presentation tonight. Let me read it. Jervis School District partnering with the city on community growth and sustainability. I think we have Andy Stevens on Zoom and maybe Mr. Bustamante.
Yes, that's me.
Thank you for coming, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. You have a PowerPoint or something for us? There we are. Okay. So basically what this is all about is trying to partner with you guys a little bit more in some of the activities to help our, just the general people here in town and also our kids, especially our, from all our different schools and things there. One of the things that we have on there is with the partnership as far as for the 4th of July parade that we've had. Years past, we've had my little organization, our little sports league would always join in with you guys and there. but we never had anything really from the high school, elementary school, anything like that. Things like that that we could probably help if we continue. I'm assuming we're having it again this year and things are. You guys always go to the high school and kind of get everything set up there. Just thoughts was, maybe having the FFA people have bale of hay and things that are available for people that are coming and things there to just help out. So it's just a little bit more organized, and we and you have some skin in the game as far as making it more inclusive of all of our, because the schools are probably the heart of this little city and things there. So that's just one thought as far as on, the partnership that goes with that type of thing. Community spaces, the healthcare center that we have trying to get some monies for and things there. So I'm in partnership with you guys of some sort and things there. Those are the type of things that we would just like to come together with our board and your guys' board and city council and things there, and just maybe hash out once a year different ideas that we could all help each other out with, things there. With the police officer that we have are there in the school all the time, that monies that we got, they for the majority of that gentleman's salary and things there, and then you get a benefit from him during the summers and all the times off and things there too. So plus we have up there and things. So the beautification, something neat would have been not just like in the summertime when we have those nice little baskets on all those lamps coming in, maybe doing something with Christmas time where we have some lights up there and things there for itself. Just those type of things that you could just chat about and things like that. It's just we're just trying to be more involved with the city also. Things there. As we have there. Let me go to the next one. There we go. And then, so there's the logistics of the meeting, 1 hour meetings, work sessions. We just threw a date out there. That doesn't, we'd let you guys chat about it and get back to us and things there.
Not to interrupt you, but I was asked about February 3rd at 6 o'clock, which we would have to call a special meeting. And I didn't deny that because special meetings are for emergencies and things.
I understand.
So I just want to be clear that I was asked. So I already know. Yeah, I think what you're doing is important, but that to call a special meeting wouldn't be something I would do. But a regular session, I think that would be wonderful for a workshop. Just put that out there.
So,
and I offered that. So.
Okay, well, then explain how that would work.
Well, we would set a date in the future because it sounds like these are things that we would be working on continually, right? And I reached out to Estacada and talked to Mayor Drinkwine there, and he's my mentor. And I talked to Malala and a few others that do this with their school boards. And the way they do it is through an ad hoc committee. And what happens is they meet once a year and they set things that they want to work on, like what you've said. And then from there, one person from our council and one person from your board would form a committee, a joint ad hoc committee. And you guys would work together on keeping us up to date, each council up to date on things. And it's more time efficient. Like me, I am so swamped myself. I can't speak for these other councilors, but it would take buy-in from both parties. And that way we're in constant communication, and that would be our hub for working together, is how they do it, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you get some people from the school district and the city?
Yes,
Is that what you're
and we
talking
do
about?
a joint ad hoc committee, and instead of taking up full council's time, and full board's time, because I don't know about you, but I work 40 hours, and I'm in church, I do a lot of things, and so somebody, like I do the parks and recs here, and I meet with them. Well, somebody from ours, if we could get buy-in from a counselor here, they could be our liaison, and you would have one from your board. Then you would try to get community members, or say for you guys, maybe teachers or somebody, and you'd have a committee that works on things that we're going to do together, these goals and things. that's how they're doing it. I mean, I spent quite a few hours talking to people and looking up things that they told me about. And that's how they're doing it successfully, having these work sessions and things. Because, we have procedures, and I, like I say, on the special meeting that I would have had to call for that one that was requested, it would have set a precedent that, man, anybody could have came and said, well, but you gave them a special meeting. Plus it would bring, like me, I'd have to get off work early, and I'm paid hourly. So just,
Okay.
yeah, so that was why I kind of denied the February 3rd.
That was just a date that was up.
Oh,
It wasn't
okay.
something that we were requesting, it was just a date that we were thinking about, or if it worked, great. If not, then we were gonna let you guys figure out a date that would work.
Well, that's what I think we could do, should do.
So, well, at this point, then I guess, unless you have other questions or things there for me.
Well, it would take buy-in, Henry, and I myself am on the Parks and Recs, and I, like I say, I'm really booked. So
We're all
we
very
would need,
busy. They're
yeah, so we would
volunteers-
need to find
volunteers
a
and
work
other
session
things.
date down the road. Well, you get it then, 'cause you're a volunteer too, right? Elected volunteer. So, we just need to see if council is, that's something they want to do. I can ask for a consensus now on that. Yeah.
I'm just here to answer questions if you
Yeah.
have them. and things like that. So,
Okay, John, go ahead.
Exactly what you said.
Can't hear him.
We get one person from the school board or whatever, and then we can get somebody from the city. So we got.
John, could you speak in? Sorry.
Can you use headphones?
Well, we can't.
I know, okay, I'm sorry. Anyway. I'm good.
Could I offer an opinion?
Sure.
I did some checking too. I checked with Estacada, Westland, Lake Oswego, they've all had experience with this. And an idea that was shared with me on how this was done is the council and the school board meet together. And at first I was kind of confused on how that would work as far as adhering to public meetings law. But how it works is both bodies would meet in the same location. Somebody suggested maybe meeting on neutral ground, either here or the school district. But how it would work is each body would give its own notice. They make their own agendas. They have their own set of minutes, and so forth. So it's like two different meetings but one meeting at the same time.
Yeah,
So I was a little confused. But
well,
I think there's benefit to that because you're talking to each other and not relying on one liaison. I think of the game telephone, where by the time it gets to you, maybe something's different. But it's just an idea that I learned about as I was looking at this too, because I was curious myself how it worked.
I see time as a factor for me on that, Susie. Estacada does meet once a year, like with what you just said, but from there they carry it forward through ad hoc. They don't do it each time. It's not full on council because people don't have the time. It's unrealistic for some. For me, it would be, especially now in my life the way it is. I'm giving as much time to the city and things that I can, and I literally would not be able to best and do my best job if I had to take on something that much.
Yeah.
Okay, John?
The way I look at it, it's the same as what we have right here. We've elected council people because the people in this town don't have the time to take care of this stuff. So they elect representatives, and I think that would be the best way to go is with the representatives. Saves everybody time. And start having double meetings like that stuff. That takes up a lot of time. People have things to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying that what I learned is the two bodies generally meet once, maybe twice a year to talk about their strategic goals because they each have strategic goals. Obviously, the school board and the city councils operate in a much different way for obvious reasons. But sometimes you get goals that align with one another. An example that Estacada shared is They work together to complete gaps in sidewalks in strategic areas so that the district didn't have to run buses to a couple of different areas in town. So it's city's jurisdiction, but still helping the school district. And the other example was creating a lighted pathway along a pathway that led to the high school campus. Again, city jurisdiction, but also benefiting the school district. So those are just examples that I wanted to share.
Yeah, like a joint goal setting is what I was describing it as, and that would be done in numbers. Go ahead.
As far as I'm concerned, we do that now. We have a goal setting session every year. I'm sure that you guys do something similar to that, do you not? We already have that, so why not utilize what we already have? Instead of adding more, we keep adding more.
I know, but it's just an opportunity, and what they're asking for is they would like to partner more with the school district.
We wouldn't.
And I know, but maybe with a joint meeting, you could, share, each body share its strategic goals and see if there's anything in there that could potentially be partnered on, that's all.
Well, I was fine with that, setting up a basic base, but it does need to be followed through, and that would take buy-in from somebody on council and somebody on the board, because then it would be followed through and we would keep up to date. Without that back piece, like John said, it won't work, because when you set those goals, and like we know from our own goal setting, we barely touched it. I mean, that's how things don't fall by the wayside. We keep it moving and keep it fresh and keep it working. But that is going to take buy-in from somebody from council and somebody from the board that can invest in that time, I think. I wish I had time. I love the school. I mean, I do, but I don't. But I'm hoping someone on the council would say, you know what, I do. So I don't know. I think we need to investigate that, maybe have the initial meeting, look at that and see if there's buy-in. Otherwise, I think we work pretty good. I mean, I took a meeting on my lunch hour with Dandy to do the grant. I mean, we do work together. It's just in a different way. I think we have a good working relationship. You've been on the board a while, huh, Henry? Yeah. So what I'm wondering from the council, my council, is how much time do you guys have to give to this? I don't know, John.
I don't think we do. I think we already have it in place. We just need to utilize what we have. With that conversation, if things start getting confusing, there's too much stuff going on.
Junior,
That's what I
how
feel
do
about
you have time to vest and maybe be their liaison if we went that far?
I would say that, yes.
So you would do
I
it.
would, yeah.
Okay, so you could go to their meetings and bring back information after we have our initial thing. Okay. Diana, how about you?
Sorry, I couldn't hear anything that John just said, or hardly could hear what any of you guys were saying, but I mean, I love the idea of working with the school board. I think that it would be a really good match to help strengthen our community. I know my time right now is also very limited at moments, but I would be willing to help as much as I could. And I really like the idea of at least having a meeting together in some way, to at least kind of see what each side is thinking.
Okay, thank you. Pam, do you have time for something like this to add to your schedule, or?
Where'd you go?
Okay, Mickey, we'll go to you. Do you have any extra time?
Honestly, we all know I'm pretty busy, but a lot of the things that he mentioned and that were shown, I can't see it now, but on slide 1, those are a lot of things that I have volunteered with when I had kids in school and after. I would be more than willing to get involved in that, just because a lot of those things are things that we can do jointly. And I have had experience in doing before. So I wouldn't say monthly meetings, but if we did like a quarterly meeting or something like that and set goals and gave out items that, you work on this, you work on that, come back with this information type of thing. I would have no problem with that.
Okay. In the conversations I was having, just so we're transparent about it, in the ask, I originally said no, or gave some commentary about how I was feeling about it, because it was supposed to be about the bond that they're trying to pass, and that they wanted city council support. And so I had to think about it, and what my thoughts were at the time where I wasn't sure I wanted to speak for my council or how they might be feeling about supporting a bond that is for the school, because we are elected to vote or to be the voice of all taxpayers. So that played a part. I don't know if you guys were aware that that was something that was on their ask as well. And I'm not sure because it didn't present tonight, but that is something that was being looked at, was wanting our support. So that was why I was hesitant to accept that meeting as well. I'm just trying to put it all out there. So what we do as private citizen is what we do, but what we do as elected officials, we need to keep our entities separate in that fact and keep aware that there's some things that we will be able to go forward. And if we do this, I would like you guys to think about boundaries that need to get set between ours, who we are, what we were elected for, so that we're not crossing that. That was something else my mentor really pushed was, Annie, you need to recognize the fact that you were elected by all taxpayers, not just a select few that might want something. Then it was said that, well, like the fire bond, I really came out hard for that, but I had taken the time to go out and talk to my constituents and found out that in majority, very majority, they wanted the fire station. So that was something that serviced all taxpayers. So tonight, I guess I'm just trying to be transparent and saying a boundary for me is, as the mayor, I would like to stay neutral on that topic, because I have people that go both ways on it. As personally, how I feel is a whole lot different, but I wasn't elected for how I personally feel. So I want to make it my boundary clear, and yes, in sidewalks and things like that, I'm more than willing to work together. But I, again, didn't want to pressure this council or myself into supporting something that my constituents, I have no idea what they're feeling. If I did go out and I did decide to support it or not support it, it would be because I take the time to go out and ask my constituents if that's what they want. So I think it best I stay neutral. John?
I
I
think
just have
Dandy had
one
her hand up.
Who's got the floor?
John, you the floor.
Dandy's at her first. Dandy is at her hand up.
Okay, I'll get to her.
Okay, you better go ahead. I'll go after
No,
that.
go ahead, John, I gave you the floor.
Okay, you said, you were thinking of a yearly meeting once a year.
Yes, and it's just a thought, guys.
Yeah, no,
This is
that's-
not- Yeah, I mean,
I think
it's
that's
not
a
like
good
we
one.
have to meet quarterly with it. I know we're all busy, and so, but I think it's important that we all get to see our faces face to face, our board and your guys' council, because I basically know this gentleman and this gentleman, and this are two, of course. He's going to help me with your truck all the time every year. We would throw all our little kids on with your trailers and things. So, and we're all part of the governing and the stewardship of our district and our state. And I don't see it a bad thing for us just to get one time a year, face to face, talk about what we think we would like to have happen, or what isn't working, and things like that.
I think that's a great idea.
So,
I'm with you on that.
I am too for that.
then we could do it, maybe we would meet an hour before, or your
Wow.
meetings and things there, on your Thursdays or on our Thursday, however we work
We
out.
can
I
send
don't-
a workshop at a regular session, Henry.
What's that?
We could set, without setting a precedent for special meetings, because I don't want to do it because it will open the door for everybody to, and I like to be equal. So I would prefer it if we did it as a workshop, which we can set a date for a workshop. And it doesn't have to be, it can run as long as we need, but it would be a workshop where the topic is having you and us together. It's just, I'm not the, and then an hour before our meetings here is hard for me to even do. I mean, if better use of my time, it is not, because I get off at 5, sometimes 6 o'clock. So I would like to set a workshop date, which is a regular session for us. Is that something you'd be
I'm sure
interested in?
we could work out. Yes.
Okay, and Dandy had her hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think, Annie, that's a great idea. Our board has work sessions already scheduled, so that's something that we're familiar with. You know, by the name, a work session is a time that's set aside to get some work done that does not require public comment and can be dedicated to just one topic, and you can be in and out and be done with it. I think that the importance of having an annual meeting is to make sure that all of our council members and our school board members are on the same page about what goals you'd like highlighted for the year. So that then when you have the people that are, say, taking the point on these different tasks, they're not spinning their wheels working on something that, say, the school board didn't support or that the city council didn't want. So I'm glad to hear that we're able to at least consider having that kind of a work session. I wanted to be clear about the bond. I will be coming and making additional public comments with regard to the district's bond that they're going to go for in the May election. I completely understand the importance of representing all taxpayers and wanting to do your research. We'll be doing extensive polling and being able to share that extensive community feedback. At this point in time, we have already done preliminary polling, and we have significant support for the bond at this point in time. You know, one thing that we just received a $700,000 grant for an artificial turf, football, soccer field year round. But that's contingent on the district being able to come up with another $300,000 to make that happen. That kind of thing is something we would want to talk to you about how do we partner. That's a game changer for this community. When we talk about the bond and what we're going to do with the buildings, the idea that in 20 years, when the bond expires, and when you look at leaving the elementary school, that leaves a prime piece of real estate in the center of Jervis that perhaps the city would want to be considering over the next 15 to 20 years, putting aside money to be able to purchase that piece of property, which would again be a significant win for the community. And so these yearly meetings with then the tasks associated with those would be how we build that capacity and the momentum for making some improvements in our community that, you know, quite frankly, none of us can do by ourselves because we are all very busy. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything? Well, then I suggest that we set a workshop date if possible.
Well, maybe that would be something with you and Dandy, because we obviously have to get with our other board members to find out dates. that
What would work.
Would work and things there. She also has some workshop already set up, so maybe we could work on using those dates. And we could-
That's possible.
So I think maybe at this point, we're just going to table it and let you guys chat about it and where we go.
It's been a pleasure meeting you as well, Henry. Thank you for your service in the schools.
Yeah, sure.
Would it be okay if Andy and I work together on some dates and I bring some possible dates back to
Yeah.
the February meeting?
Absolutely, that would be fine with me. Council, what do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so Susie will be directed to bring us possible dates. Spring 3, please. I will tell you that I have some personal things gonna happen in the next month, and I will be a little bit incapacitated, so February is not a good month for me. March, I've got skate park on my mind and Veterans Ball. So we'll see what we can do. And Rocky, you're not out of the picture.
I love the skateboard and Memorial Fall.
Well, we're hopeful, so, okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No?
All right. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
And Dandy, now I think this is not about this meeting that we're trying to form. But have you guys thought about what's the projection on the high school? I've heard different things about maybe getting adding on to the school.
Oh, you mean as far as what is the bond and things there?
Yeah,
Probably Dan, you'd be the best to address that one. I know with new roof, a couple classrooms, some new office area would be in that part of it. I'm getting that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We would replace the roof of the high school, remodel most of the classrooms, add 2 new classrooms, remodel locker rooms, create a security vestibule so that when people come into the high school building, they just don't have full access to the whole building. We would also replace windows that have run their course. And then depending on how much money is left, we would have a new concession stand with new restroom facilities, new stadium lighting, repair the press box or the crow's nest, I guess is what they call it, and upgrade some of the grandstands so that then that makes it a more of a community facility as well. And I actually have the conceptual drawings of what the bond would pay for. I would be more than happy to have those displays set up at a city council meeting or city hall and have you guys have the opportunity to take a look at those. And then I'm more than happy to come and make, public comment or whatever at the next meeting or answer questions.
Angie, maybe you can make an appointment to go over there and see and
Yeah.
sit in on
Yeah.
the meetings. They have a board
Uh-huh.
over there. I watched one day. You can go over there and find out.
okay.
And we also have the board set up in the district office, so you could come over anytime.
But that would help answer. She could walk you through it.
You'll be able to see both what we're doing at middle school and the elementary.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right,
Thank you
for
very much.
coming. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night and you're free to
Thank
go. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2021 regular session is A. B is approval of bill list for November 24th through December 27th, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve the January 6th, 2022 consent calendar as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 6th, 2022 consent calendar as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, any discussion?
For the record, can we make that January 13th?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, thank you. I'm out there. Okay, so. Record
I'm
is clear.
Gonna revise that motion.
Yeah, please do.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 13, 2022 consent calendar as presented.
I will second that as well.
Discussion. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it and the motion carries. Moving on. We're moving to committee reports, which was given to us in writing. And what it pretty much says is that there will be a meeting between Sacred Heart and our chair, Laura Clifton, and myself will attend, where I will introduce her and she will give the ask for if they are interested in allowing us to use their property. And we'll see what they say. Then she's been working on lights and I think she's been sending those things to John. No, not yet. Okay, we'll be sending those things to John. And that was summation on that. Is there any questions?
I have a question. You're referencing our written report, but it's not what we have in the packet.
Okay,
So,
email. It's in writing, right?
well, we got an email from Laura, but it didn't have that much detail, so I didn't know if you had a separate document.
No, I don't. It's just, that's it. There's nothing on report. We will be having a meeting next Tuesday, Laura. 18th, yes. At 6:30 here at City Hall.
I thought it was the 25th.
Oh, there's one-
18th is Sacred Heart.
Yeah, 25th. Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll be meeting to kind of discuss what we find out and what they're gonna vote on, what they present to you on where the park might be put, and I'm hoping that we can start moving forward on this. Since we're here talking about skate park, funds are a concern. I know we are looking at probably 150 to 200,000 to put a skate park together, and now it's the size of Donald's there. Yeah, so we need to talk about maybe getting some of the ARPA funds put aside for this. And I'd like to get a consensus tonight that we can look at doing that, so that we can move forward. This is something we've been working on, and I'm hoping that we can do that. Susie's also mentioned that she can try to apply for a grant, but I'd like something in contingency so this doesn't get held up. If Sacred Heart does say, go ahead, believe me, you're gonna wanna move on it if that's what we decide, because if a new priest comes in, things could change. That's just how it is. I'm trying to be transparent with that. So if we get an opportunity, we need to be ready to do something.
I have a question.
Go
So
ahead.
is the skate park something that we can use the ARPA funds for, Susie?
I would have to check on that, but thinking back to John's comment, it was the Marion County Prosperity Funds that we checked into, and those are the funds. It's different, still Marion County, it's different pot of funds is what we checked into.
Okay.
And is eligible for the skate park. But the Oregon Parks and Rec does have their annual grant program open. This is the grant program that funded the Jervis Community Park on Black Walnut. They've got large projects, small projects. The grant deadline for a large project, which by the cost, this is what it would qualify for, is due by April 1st. But we need to have kind of a solid, concrete, not to play on words, plan in order to put that grant application together. So
Sounds like we need to get going then.
Yes, we need to be ready to move if they decide to do this.
yeah,
I did find
And-
out, I'm sorry.
well, and I would like to be part of the discussion if the church is willing to move forward.
Oh, absolutely. It will go right to you. The committee will bring it to council and yourself, and all the negotiating will go for you, Susie, and the lawyers. This is just simply, will you do it? Are you willing to let us do it? We're not giving them any promises. We're hearing what they want. This is not where, well, we want to build a park and have this X amount. That's not anything that we would do. Just so you're clear on that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we talked about how much money was in that other one, how much is in this one we're talking about?
The
How
Parks
much-
and Rec,
Yeah, and then plus you were talking about a different place to pull some more money from.
yeah, so we have the Parks and Rec program. I don't know how much total they have to give away, but this project would qualify for a large grant project. And there's a 20% match for the city. So if we got the grant, we pay 20%.
And we got the 70,000 from it.
70,
So
yeah.
how much do we have in our own parks?
In our own parks money right now, we have the 70,000.
Just the 70,000.
And we have a little bit in the general fund allotted, but that's just more for maintenance operation. It's not huge at all. Or did you have something?
I like the idea of applying for a grant. My only problem is for this phase, like one to build the park, that grant money wouldn't apply. That would apply if it's a year out. When they fund. Then you wouldn't have the money to build the park, say, this year. Would you?
Without the grant funding, we don't have the money. So, I mean, we would have to get everything together, a cost estimate, a place where the park's gonna go, and have all that information put in the grant application. But you're right, it wouldn't be funded until, I don't know.
So what I'm hearing Susie say is even if we decide what to do, we don't have the money to build the park. Is what I'm hearing.
We have 73,000, and then you said there was another fund that we could use. What was it called? Marion?
Marion County Prosperity,
How much is in that?
expand it for another 2 years, 15,000 for another 2 years.
So we would be at about 60,000 there. So that's 73 and 60. So we're at about 135. So we're shy. But you could start a phase, you could do it in phases. So there's money there to start it. So that phase 2 could be put on the grant. Right? Is that right?
We can get it started, that's all I know.
Yeah.
We can get something going.
Well, I'd like to look at the ARPA too and see if maybe some of that can be used.
So I guess my ask is gonna be, can I get some funds dedicated more than the 80,000 we have in the Parks and Rec fund, that we have some
So
more?
you're asking if we would do the 45 that we have, if we could get a consensus that we would go ahead and use
Yes.
that?
Please.
That's a pretty good ask. What do you think, John?
Well, we've been trying to get this done for quite some time. I'd like to get moving on
Well,
You
let's try to get some funds.
it. Set aside that money and get it on.
Using that money? To get it started?
We-
How about you guys? If it came to pass, would you, the consensus is, would you be willing to use those funds towards a park that we've been funding? You know, whether it be there or wherever.
How much would be the cost?
Well, it could be less, but the size of Donald's is 150,000 for the same size skate park.
So you're saying if we can't get any grant funds and can't use any ARPA, are we willing to basically dedicate the other funds that we have along with the park fund towards the skate park? Is that what you're asking? Sorry, it's really hard to hear.
Yes, Diana, that's what we're asking. You know, as a contingency.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I think that at this point, we want to get the skate park in. I would say though that, and maybe this is just me, but I would love to see the kids that want the skate park and the families to, even if it's $100 get fundraiser, something, like something helping fund this park.
We've been talking.
Does that make sense?
We've been talking about ideas like having a booth at the 4th of July, Diana, that they could sell soda, and I was gonna make like donuts or something. That's something that we've been kicking around. They are more than willing to work. They're showing up at the committee meetings. They went out and looked at properties. They're investing themselves.
That's awesome. No, that's really good to hear. I just think that seeing what some of the kids have done to the park over at Black Walnut, if they put the work and the money into it, if they're truly putting their heart into this park, they're going to take care of it versus us just handing them something.
They're invested, Diana, I assure you. Abby's son is one of our leaders. He's actually a vote. I've given him a part, and Laura brought him forth. He actually gets to vote on things, and they will be huge in the design process of this. So they are vested, I assure you. It's hard for Abby to come in now because, she works for us, so she has to stay kind of apart from it, if that makes sense. The dad has came though. So, Pam, did you have something? Would you be okay with using funds for this?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. I think we need to get it up and off the ground. I love that the community and the kids are invested in it, like Diana said. So I'm fine with it.
Okay, and Vicki?
Well, I do have one question on the park in Donald. And again, it is really hard to hear you guys. On the park in Donald, how long has that park been there? Do we know? Because again, one of the things that was brought up in regards by the chief was, and also by Susie, was that since COVID, the ability to get certain, whether construction items, let's just say that, or needs for the skate park could be something that the prices have gone up quite a bit. It could be something that, concrete prices, just getting the people to come in. So has any of that been addressed before I make my decision?
Go ahead, Laura.
The park was built in like, I want to say 2002 or 2004. And when I called the engineers, designers of it and talked to them, 3 or 4 months ago when we brought this up, yeah, they told me that today's cost would be 160, 150K. So to answer Laura,
What did they pay for their park? Do you remember? It was like 60,000 or something?
no, it wasn't. You
What
don't-
was it?
You don't want to know,
Yeah, I do.
really?
Yeah,
It was like 30,000.
30,000. So what I'm trying to point out, Mickey, is yes, the inflation cost has been like that.
Yeah.
But
So,
in today's time, with the way materials and everything is, and having to send out to the planner and the designer and get the bids and all that stuff, I won't have the answer to any of Mickey's questions until that portion of the pie is sent out, and we can talk to them about that.
right.
Right now, I just want funds to say, yes, you're willing to move forward with this.
Just like the fire chief did earlier.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And yes, I want to get a grant, but I don't think we can get a grant soon enough to move on this. But it could be a phase 2, a phase 3. It could be building another basketball court. You know, for phase 2, could be putting a roof on something, adding a swing set, a slide, but
There are other options. We can. I
Correct.
believe, if I'm right, we can loan ourselves.
Can't hear John.
Okay, I'm talking into the microphone.
Thank you.
Isn't that something that we could utilize, Susie, is we could loan ourselves some money to build this park and we can bring that money back later?
Yeah, that is a possibility. As I'm thinking through this all though. If when you meet at the church on the 18th, I feel like the $73,000 that the developer gave us for parkland, we have an obligation to put in a type of park that everybody could use. So I think a skate park could be an element of it. But what I'm thinking is if we can get all our ducks in a row and know if the church is willing and if we can, come up with an agreement to use that property, I mean, we would have to work it out, city would maintain, we'll work that out later. But if we can find out how much property the church is willing to provide for park space, then, maybe we could put a grant application together for Oregon Parks and Rec and call the 73,000 plus the 45,000 matching funds already. I mean, we can show that we've already got this number of dollars towards it, and we're asking for whatever the rest is gonna be.
I understand, yeah. Laura?
we're only asking for the property besides Grove because that's all that Father was
It's a huge
talking
lot.
about.
It can have a basketball court.
What is it,
We-
Grove
we-
and Seventh?
Yeah, it's Grove and Seventh, and it's that corner lot, and if he's right, and if they, because once, I guess he talked to everybody when he was talked to, and they were all on board. It's that whole lot, and his only request is that they don't have to do the upkeep, there's no bathroom, and
We'll find out for sure.
so far, we'll find out what the council board actually is willing to offer. And it was like for minimal, couple dollars for years lease. And of course, our lawyers are gonna have to secure that they can't just break it after all that work. I mean, but Susie, the 18th is open if you'd like to sit in. I'm not trying to discourage you, I just didn't know if you have time but there's really not gonna be any, we're not gonna try to negotiate anything. That is our lawyers and but if you want, it's at what time, 6 o'clock, we supposed to be there?
6:30,
No, we're gonna be there early.
right, at 6:25 or something. But
I'll check with Melanie, but
it's
you
just
know,
the
that's-
official ask to the board.
yeah, hey.
To consideration.
This is what we'd like to do. Are you on board with that? We'd like to make a skate park there. Eventually a basketball court or whatever. It's big enough to do a lot with. But it would have to be done in phases financially, I think.
But again, there's the money that was given to us by Ivy Parks. Is there any other funds to add to that?
Well, they just said there is. So it may just give you the consensus that they are, I think all of them, except Nikki hasn't answered the question really, if she was okay with it, but we've got the majority consensus that says they are.
Can I get a vote?
I would need to make a motion on that. Do we want to take it then? That we will commit to using those funds? Can I get a motion for that?
I can't hear.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
Is he making a motion?
So you want to do with the fire chief, you want us to lock in to say that, yes, if that can be used, like Susie said, to show matching funds. Yes, please. He put a lot of work into it, I get it.
But the grant application is going to be contingent upon what kind of information I can get about the project.
Okay,
And the
well,
first would be the land.
yeah,
Well, I don't have that yet until I figure out what Sacred Heart's going, and then we get other options and bring it to the council and have them vote on it.
So
You could, you could get the information and bring it to Susan, you know, and you can still bring it back to council later, but you can give Susan information, give her something to move on.
What information?
Well, whether they're in with us having the park over there or not, you know.
you know, get the cement costs and stuff going on. And what the skate park like Donald's would cost, we'll get the estimates for it and bring it back, because that's what she's talking about. That way we know what the park's gonna look like. Meet with the kids, have them design, show you what they want, we'll take them out on a field trip to Donald, see if that's okay, and then we start getting estimates for that. Is that what you're saying?
maybe, I mean, if this all comes together, maybe at the time, just before I submit the grant application. Probably wouldn't be February meeting, but March meeting, maybe, if we can get it together by then. Then I can, you know, share the information, what I'm submitting with the grant application and show the.
She's gotta show concrete plans.
So again, I can have a vote to figure out what property we're using, so I know what I'm working with.
Right. Well, we've got to find out the ask.
Yeah.
First. But there is a consensus, they'll give the money. That's as good as a vote. Huh?
So that's what that money's for. I hate to say this, but we could have saved ourselves a lot of time if we would have just kept that property.
Can't hear you.
You know, we ever gave that up.
I'm not on there, wasn't. I wouldn't have been for this money thing either, because you can't buy it. Without. So tonight I got your consensus for it, and I'll go to the community and hope to keep their fire. I mean, they'll do it. Okay, thank you for your hard work. Okay, Rocky, you want to say something? Can you just be real brief though?
Yeah. This is actually my experience where I excel. I worked with Sarah Palin, Ted Stevens, Alaska on campaign stuff to bring communities together, get people elected. So my thing is all these people reaching out to you wanting money from you guys, they want you to scratch their back, but I think they should scratch your back as well. Because the school district is something you need to get on with the suppliers, like the lumber places and the concrete places, to get their business name on this park. To give them some tools and to sponsor the park. So you can get your material covered, you can get your concrete covered, and exchange to mention the building, the like lumbers or whatever, you know. And the school district, it'd be for the school. So you'd be like, oh, you want us to do this for the school district, but we need you to do this for us for the skateboard park. And with the Sacred Heart Church, you reach out to them like, hey, would you be willing to give us this property for the skateboard park, because it benefit your church people too. After church, they have a place to go skateboard and vice versa. So all it is about to get the communities together on board and feed them and say, hey, this is what we need and this is what will benefit from you guys from having. So I think it's all the community things that need to come together. That's what I'm all about. That's where I excel. You just need to reach out to the people and make it happen.
Okay, Rocky, thank you.
That point.
Well, we're already talking about the land. Okay, so let's move on. There's no public hearings. Action item, renew personal service agreement between City of Jervis and Beery, Elsner and Hammond LLP. Susie, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so, every year we've renewed the personal services agreement that we have with our city attorney, Barry Elser. So it's now up for renewal again. I included in your packet a couple of different options on, renewal terms, and it's up to the council. So if you want this agreement to continue, or if you want to take action to renew it every year, then you can do that. But if you want to set it up to where it automatically renews every year, we can do that too. So it's just up to the council how you want to handle the renewal, and then I can take care of the language and give the contract.
I'm all for keeping it just like it is.
I think so too.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? I think leave it alone. Tammy is nodding yes. Is that a affirmative? Diana, you as well? How about you?
Yes, I agree. I think we should keep it the way it is.
Okay. So.
Agree with Pam.
Okay.
Okay, Diana?
I
Okay,
agree.
we're all thinking, do I
Okay.
need to take a vote on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I need a motion to keep it the way it is.
Well, yeah, just a motion to renew the contract with Jerry Elsner and Hammond for a period of.
I make a motion to renew the contract with Erie, Elsner and Hammond for 1 year.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it and the motion carries. Okay, so next is approve agreement with Mid-Willamette Valley COG to facilitate council rules update. I like the guy and everything. Do I think that part is really necessary? No, but if you want to spend the money, go ahead. We're gonna have to send it through legal anyway, anything we suggest. I think we're working well together, but, if you're still wanting the guy to come in and we'll pay him 100 and whatever an hour to do that, that's fine with me. But I
How
mean,
much time do you expect that to take, Susie?
Well, it depends. Typical lawyer answer. I really don't know.
What?
3 or 4 hours, maybe up to 6 hours. I mean, he is the attorney on staff at the COG, and so he would be doing the review. We would be sending it to our city attorneys.
Well, I mentioned this before, but if everybody just comes in there and has read their rules, there's no reason why we can't just come in here and have the meeting ourselves. If you have something you don't like and you want it changed, you bring it up, we'll talk it over, we'll change it or we won't. Once we're done, we'll send it to COG. They can look it over and do just exactly what they would do. And that way, we'll go over it a lot faster, I believe.
a lot less money too.
Yeah, and then we don't have to pay anybody for it either. So that's my recommendation, that we do it ourselves and then we send it back to them and let them go over it. Check it out. I think we're more than capable to do these things ourselves. I don't see why we need to call people in all the time to do it.
That's fine. Sometimes it just helps to keep things moving along with the facilitator, but it's up to you guys.
I would be fine that way. Junior?
Yeah.
You're fine with that? How about you, Diana?
I see both sides of it. I think that we've been working well together recently, but I am also concerned that sometimes it's just nice having an outside party. Let's just put it that way. That's kind of where I am, is I see both sides. Can we do it? I think we can. Can we do it and not feel like we didn't get heard or got trampled on or something didn't happen the way we wanted and we're having poor feelings? I'm not sure.
Okay, fair enough. Pam?
I do think we're capable of doing it. I just want to make sure that there's no legal implications that we don't use them at first. And make sure we don't inadvertently cause the city an issue because we haven't had legal counsel for that. So do we have an answer about that issue?
Well, there's nothing preventing you from doing it yourselves, but at the end, it will need to go to legal review, which if you guys approve, it would go to Bill Monahan at the top for review.
Yeah, it would just be less hours in.
Mhm.
Billable hours.
Yeah, I think I could see that it would be less hours, and so I'm fine to give it a good effort, and a collaborative environment. I'm fine with that, and then send it to legal.
Okay, and Mickey.
I'm going to basically go with Diane and Pam. I'm in agreement that, we have this option, but let's try it. I think things have been going for the better slowly. And I think that if we just continue on this, then, if we need to go back to this, then we can. But I think that things are going, it's just taken some growing pains. I think that we can do this and then just take it to them for, finalization or what have you. I'm good with
Okay,
that.
something the consensus then that we're good to try it ourselves and then send it for final approval and scripting or whatever you would call that. And I appreciate that we are getting along and trying to work well. Thank you. So I'm gonna ask for a motion on that.
There's a motion, can you make sure to authorize Bill Monahan as he described?
Yeah, you have to go over the review it after we're done.
When he goes over, he is only gonna be looking for the legality, right? That's his whole.
My only thought is if something's not clear to him, that I might have to bring discussion back to the council meeting.
Okay.
To get some clarification, so it might not be a one and done type of a thing.
That's fine.
So
That's a process.
I'll be looking for the legal perspective.
Okay, so we need a motion that he will look it over after we sit down and hammer it out. I don't know how you want to word it. Susie, do you have the words for somebody?
Eliminating the new.
For the, yeah. For the meeting part of it. Yeah. Okay, so
I'll make a motion that we do it on our own with the stipulation that it will go back to Bill Monahan for review for legal counsel.
okay, can we get a second?
Second that.
Okay, all in favor, or no more discussion or? Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I have it and the motion carries. Okay, so next we're gonna move on to our activity tracker. I'm really pleased to see that some things are starting to come off in there. Thank you, staff, for doing that. Is there any questions on the tracker that anyone has tonight for Susie or the staff?
I just had a question. I'm trying to figure out where it is, where it talks about the fence that goes around that pond. Where is that? Fencing around. Yeah. So I was surprised when I drove by it and found that there's this really a lovely fence around 90% of it, but there's still a gap. And so I was confused about why it's not fully enclosed, because the gap is several feet wide, certainly wide enough for kids to get back into. So is it now complete? Is it 100%?
That gap is a responsibility of the contractor. That will be a wooden fence, because there'll be a house on the north side of that fence. They just have not extended that to meet the chain line.
Okay, thank you. It's really turned out very nice, I thought, and it's not a detriment to that community to have to do it every day, I thought.
No, it's really nice looking. I thought so too. I went and looked. Okay, so does anyone else have a tracker question? I just really would like to compliment staff on moving forward on some of these things. I can't verbatim them tonight. I'm awfully tired, but I do see things starting to move and come off there, so thank you.
Excuse me.
New business. Item 12, overview and acknowledgement of 5-year TMDL report and information plan. And Nikki, I need to use the restroom, so I'm gonna step out and let you control it if I'm not back, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone else need a break? Okay, go ahead and move that one.
I'm gonna let John present this.
What the TMD report is, it's required by Oregon DEQ. And what it does, it stipulates our stormwater controls and the maintenance of our storm basins and storm lines. For example, it also controls stormwater runoff. So example, when Ivy Woods was built, that's why that retention pond is there, because that slows down all the surface water and holds it and then let it slowly into the system. So by the time it gets down to the Sam Brown Creek, which is that runs along parallel with Black Walnut Park and heads under 99, it allows the sedimentation stuff to kind of settle out and clear. So for this next 5-year period, we project what we have to do to improve that, which is planting trees, to continue to clean our catch basins. I'm going to ask the city within the next year or two to fund a vac trailer so that we can do that in-house. The last year we did it, we had to rent a trailer and it's about $1,000 a week to rent. And so if we could find a good used one, then we could do all that in-house and we can use it for a lot more other things just besides cleaning catch basins. So there's a lot of information in there, but it's just basically what DEQ requires the city to perform on our maintenance on our storm system. Any questions?
No questions.
Nikki, or you want to go ahead? I don't know where we're at.
We're still on the overview of the 5-year TMDL that John just brought us.
Okay, is
So-
there any questions then?
Questions?
So right now,
Yeah, we're in compliance and this, the next 5-year cycle, we're telling DEQ what we plan on doing for the next 5 years.
So is everybody straight on that then, or clarified? Need anything more from him? If not, I'll ask for an approval motion to approve it. Is that right?
Yeah, our responsibility is to have the
Oh, that's right.
reporting is.
Okay. Something for vision in your mind. The renewal of telephone franchise, the village telephone, DBA division. So is that for the city here or the city hall, you mean? I didn't get to read that part, I'm sorry.
The city has several franchises actually with all the utilities. One of them is with Jervis Telephone for telephone service. Renee brought to my attention that this franchise actually expired in May of 2021. They will still honor it. I mean, that's not a problem with her, but she just wanted me to bring this to your attention to find out if the city council is interested in renewing it, and if so, I will engage myself to renew. It's been 10 years, so I'm sure, you know, the legal language regarding franchises has changed a little bit. We'll get the attorneys to help, but anyway, I just need your direction.
John, go ahead. What'd you say? Go ahead.
they've been with us for a long time.
I'm fine with it, Junior. How about you guys? What do you want to do?
Matter of fact, they said.
I'm good with pursuing a renewal.
Nikki?
I'm good for the renewal as well.
Yeah,
Yes, for the renewal.
that consensus. Do you need anything else? Stevie? That's
No, that's fine.
Okay, council says good. Okay, the next is discontinuation of DataVision video franchise agreement.
Yeah, so along those same lines, not too long ago, we entered into a franchise agreement with DataVision for them to provide cable service in town. They actually buy it from Easy Video Service in Canby. But Easy Video is discontinuing, and so that makes Jervis or DataVision have to discontinue their service, and consequently end the franchise agreement that we have with them. So there's no action required by the council. Renee just submitted the letter that was provided in the packet, so I'm just delivering the notice and information to you.
Right, so we're all clear on that. It was just to notify us of the discontinuation. Any questions at all? If not, we'll move on. To staff reports, we're gonna start with Susie.
Sorry,
Oh,
this is
sorry.
Pam. I have some new business I wanted to bring up.
Oh, do you want to wait for mayor and council then for that?
Wherever it's appropriate.
Well, if it's something that you want to add, it's the mayor and council comments, you can add, you can speak then. How about?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
No problem. I thought it belonged there. Fine.
Susie?
Okay, so I provided my written report in the packet. For the sake of time, I won't go over it unless there's questions, but I do have a couple of new things to add. I was contacted by a person from Jervis School District about setting up a Saturday market in the high school parking lot, and she was wondering if there's any process for the city to be able to do that. So I did look in our code, and we do have provisions for temporary merchants, solicitors, peddlers, but there's really no language in our code that addresses these types of events, farmers market, Saturday market, like there are in other cities. And so what I thought about doing and just suggesting to the council, if you're fine with it, because just to let them go ahead, waive any fees that might apply to them, because I can't find anything in the code that specifically lays out a process for the city to be involved in farmers market type activities. And then I did show the section to our city attorney, and it is due for some legal review and updates, because what we have is really outdated. Frankly, it goes back to 1996. So, I mean, I'd like to use this as an opportunity to update that section. It's chapter 5. It's under business licenses. You know, to bring it current, and you know, one of the goals that the city council has had is to explore a business license program, which we don't currently have. So through this process, we could accomplish that as well. Maybe end up with a business license program, because we don't have any language in our ordinance currently.
Would that affect our 4th of July stuff, like our vendors and stuff that come on special occasions? I mean, just out of curiosity, because, you know, that's a festive event and people are coming out to help us put on the show, basically. And I would hate for them to have to pay some outrageous fee, because I think they were paying like $20 or something. Was that?
Yeah, the 4th of July committee set their own fees for booth space. And so I think while we're looking at updating the code, we would consider past practice of what the 4th of July committee is, and work with the city attorney to come up with some language that allows, and that's what I'm getting at with the farmer's market. Like currently our fee for a temporary merchant, which is the closest thing I found, is we would charge $75 for a 45-day permit to a temporary merchant. And that's what I see the Saturday market being, just a group of temporary merchants.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I was thinking too, like Hubbard and Rocky had an issue out there with space, and them wanting to charge an arm and a leg for him to put on an event. And I would hate for us to adopt something like that, which would make it prohibitable almost for people to come out and play a band or a vendor that would come out for the day. And it just made me think, you got put here for a reason. I would like to avoid that. I don't know how council feels, but I think we're small enough that we should, you know, work with people. So maybe in the language on that, Susie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would like to work with them. I don't want to squash, you know, their good intent.
I think it was like $1,500 or something I heard.
Yeah, the attorney wanted to charge me insurance, the city attorney, just to put on a private event for a community member. I'm not getting nothing out of that. Just bring joy to people, you know, to get them out of the keyboard and causing drama.
Okay. So Mickey, you got your hand up out there?
Yes, so I have been on the 4th of July committee, and I actually was one of the ones that brought in the vendors, not the food vendors, those were there already. But we were charging $25 for a 10 by 10 spot. And that just kind of, I mean, it helped because we had to clean up afterwards. put everything back where it goes. But I think Saturday Market had been brought up previously, and I know that they do the one in Salem, they have one in Kaiser, they have them in Beaverton, Hillsborough. And there was some talk with the county in regards to having them come out, and they will actually assist with getting vendors for Saturday Market as far as food needs go. That they would help to bring in other vendors from other Saturday markets to get it started. And those vendors would provide healthy food, healthy vegetables, fruits, flowers, herbs, that kind of thing. And then there were other vendors that also came in that were, small business people that, maybe had planters, or they did stained glass design, or whatever the case may be. So it kind of was a smaller version of a Saturday market out in Portland. So I think that would be a really neat thing to do. And I think $25 for a 10 by 10 space. I know when I had my own business, I was spending upwards of $100 a day on a permit just to be there for 8 hours. So
Okay.
$25 is good.
Okay, so are you saying that we should charge a cleaning fee basically for these Saturday marketers? I
Well,
think
yeah.
I agree with that.
It would be $25. And then what we did for 4th of July was it was $25. And if they needed electricity, it was an additional 10 because they're using the city's electricity that we pay for. So that was a little more to go towards helping with that. And it also, that money went into that fund, and it helps to provide for and pay for the following year's event. So Saturday Market, I'm thinking, would be a little bit different. Sorry, Diana.
Okay, Diana, go ahead.
Well, and Susie, did I hear you right that this was somebody at the high school wanting to host one at the high school?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the difference here is that the event would be held at the high school parking lot, and the city wouldn't be involved in it at all. It would be, is Melinda Fitzhenry who contacted me, and she and Melinda, or Molly McCarter, want to work together to put it together. So the city wouldn't have any involvement at all.
I'm clear now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good now.
I just wanted to bring it to you because I can't find anything in the code that says we charge this or that fee. So keeping with the theme of the times, I don't want you guys to see a big setup there and say, oh, hey, Susie approved this, we didn't know about it. So I just wanted to bring it to you.
Well, no, I'm just saying, since it's his school property,
Yeah.
they want to charge 4 people to come in there.
And go for it, yeah.
And we are two
I
separate
can't see
entities.
where we would have anything to do with it now.
Right, yeah.
All they wanna know is if it's legal.
They don't need anything from the council. They were just asking me if there's a city
Okay.
process. And so that kind of cued me in when I read the ordinance, like, okay, this could be our cue then.
Okay, so what your ask is then is you'd like to proceed with getting some of these ordinances looked at by legal?
Yeah, I just want the council to be aware that I'm not gonna charge any fees to this group.
Yeah, no, well, that's on school property, it's really, I see it.
I'd like to engage the city attorney to help me update that part of the ordinance.
Council, how do you feel about that?
I'm
Okay,
good with
I'm
it.
good with it.
okay, go ahead, Susie.
All right, so the next thing I wanted to inform you about is we had a call from a contractor who's been working with the owner of the building on the corner here. We refer to it as the old bakery, or the corner of 4th and Elm, about demolishing it. And he was wondering if we have any permit requirements, which we don't. But we kind of put the brakes on that because I know there's potentially could be some historic value down here. Maybe, I mean, I know that building is historic, but it's kind of dilapidated too. So I checked the code again concerning historic building preservation, and I went to our comprehensive plan. None of the downtown buildings are considered in the plan to the city as being historical value. If they were, then the community would have an opportunity to give input through a public hearing process before the building was demolished. So again, I just wanted to make you aware that that's going on. I did touch base with Holly, our planner, and she suggested that we reach out to the owner and just kind of know what his plans are for the property, because it would be subject to a site development review down the road.
Pam has her hand up. Go ahead, Pam.
I'm sorry, I missed what they want to do on that piece of property.
They want to tear it down.
Okay, thanks. I did not hear that part. Thanks.
I'd like them to save that 19 or whatever face if possible. That would be something if we could maybe ask
I could ask for it.
if they could just save the face of that 19, what is it,
1902.
1902 piece, so that it could be refaced on whatever. Yeah, and then the fires on it, if that'd be something I think we should ask them to do. Mickey, quickly?
Yeah, I again, I went to the City of Jervis Day in History out in Brooks. And that building right there, the 1902, is the only building that was left after the 3 fires. So I'm kind of surprised it's not historic, but I too, I mean, I've always, and Susie and John, you guys know, I've always said this, that 1902 is very valuable to Jervis, because that is the last building that was standing from when they originally built them. The other thing would be taking some of the bricks. I know that we had talked, like with the Veterans Wall doing specific bricks and things, but they're, getting a few of those bricks, if people want to keep them, purchase one as a piece of, old Jervis. They could also put their names on those, and we could do something like that to kind of, I don't know, keep a little of the history here, if that makes sense to anybody.
We could talk about that. There's a fence line that I'd love to see go generational off this Veterans Wall that we're talking about. building that
Exactly.
down. As far as engraving our own bricks, Gary is the go-to on that. We're gonna have a webinar with him. Junior and I are soon. We need to get together on a date. Maybe I'll like to sit in. We can arrange that, but that's something to think about. But yeah, I'd love to see a fence line of generational veterans built over the years, and that whole street, replace that, make a little fence line down there with veterans names, but that's just some of the talks we've had. Okay, so Susie.
The last little tidbit of information I wanted to give you is that the public meetings law now requires that we make a virtual option to all our meetings. So, we'll be required to provide Zoom from here on out for our meetings.
So does that mean that from now on, that this will all be recorded, video, as far as video goes?
Yeah, we do record on Zoom, so we have the video and the audio.
So there's playback
So
now?
how's the request of video, we have to get the video? I need it. Okay.
It's a cost out, huh, John?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Junior.
This is on the building. Is there any way we can save or asking if we can save the whole front and then build onto the back?
Yeah, you can ask them to do that.
Not tear down the whole front?
Right.
No, structurally, the seismic on that building's bad. The seismic activity would take that out. It's not structurally sound. So I'm not an engineer, but I really think it's just gonna be the individual piece that says 1902 Junior. I mean, we could look, but that building is not earthquake proof at all. And to keep the whole front like that is kind of dangerous.
Just the front. Sign.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were just asking.
1902?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all we can do is ask. I mean, technically, it's his property, but
Yeah.
I think what I'll do is send a letter to him, let him know that I informed the council. I mean, he's free to tear it down, but put in your request of preserving the 1902.
Yeah, the city would really appreciate it. We could tell him, our citizens.
Yeah.
He would do better for whatever he does in it by doing that.
Yeah.
Showing solidarity for the community, maybe.
But again, it is his property, so we don't really have any teeth to get it. It'd just be up to his own
Yeah.
generosity.
Well, and I'd like to see the